Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. All right, guys. Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Welcome back to the channel. Good to see you again. We have not filmed in a while.
I feel a little camera shy. What? There's something pointing at my face.
Oh my gosh.
I'm supposed to speak.
We know how to do this.
I think so.
Anyways, for today's video, I thought it would be really fun to do a scratch map and scratch off all the countries we've been to together. This is something I've been wanting to do for years, okay?
Yeah, we actually ordered this a while ago.
Yes.
It's been kind of collecting dust, and it is the day to do the scratching.
It is.
Today we scratch.
Yeah, so I thought it would be fun to look back on where we started, where we met, where we traveled together.
Yep.
And just reminisce. Alrighty, I think we're gonna need some heavy items.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Samuel, hold on to this. I've got lots of heavy candles.
Okay. Oh, it's just, you scratch the paper?
Yes. I'm gonna use this. I'm not one of those crystal energy people. This is just something
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. It's been in my family for a long time, and I have one of the Brazilian crystals. And this didn't come with any kind of tool.
Oh.
I thought this was gonna come with like a little
scratch tool?
scratchy thing or something. How are you gonna do this? Do you have coins? I would suggest you pull out some money. It's gonna take us a while to get settled.
Technical difficulties already.
Technical difficulties before we even begin. All right, so I thought we could start with Canada since it's where we're from.
Yes.
Shall we scratch Canada first and then we can begin our journey together? We're gonna scratch all of Canada. This map is not divided by provinces, and we've actually been cross country.
Here it is, it's green.
I thought for this video it would be fun to share like the first memory that comes to mind from every country we've been to. Now Canada is obviously home, so
I was born here.
Sam is a West Coast boy.
Yeah.
Vancouver Island, British Columbia, born and bred.
So I guess one of my earliest memories would be being outdoors in nature.
Yeah.
Being out in the forest, being surrounded by mountains. And I grew up in a very beautiful, scenic, small town called Gold River. And it's like a 15-20 minute drive away from the Pacific Ocean.
Ooh.
And you keep going and you might land into Japan. Yeah.
I finally got to see it 2 years ago. We did a trip together with both of our dads as well, and that was a lot of fun.
It seriously was.
And for me, on this Canada map, I was born in the province of Quebec, in Montreal. So that was originally home, but at this point I've lived, oh my gosh, I've lived much longer in Ontario.
Canada is a big territory, guys.
Ontario feels more like home just because I've been here longer. Okay.
That's Canada.
Let me show you how Sam thinks scratching a map is acceptable. This is Sam's version of scratching Canada.
Yeah.
Let me just say, I am not impressed.
It's like a kindergarten Crayola kind of level. That's about
awful.
where I'm at.
That is horrible. I'm gonna clean it up afterwards, but let's start moving through these countries. Next, I thought we could do South Korea.
Okay.
Since it's where we met each other, it's where the story began.
That's nice and small, so I'll let you scratch.
What can you tell us about South Korea?
It's the first international country that I visited outside of Canada and the US. I suppose the US would be, but I'm talking like outside of North America. My first like real trip abroad, especially culturally speaking. And I got the idea to visit Korea because when I was at university, I started tutoring English as a side job, and most of my students were Korean. And so they encouraged me to come. They're like, hey, when you're done school, you can move to Korea and get a job. And that's exactly what I did. It kick-started my travel career, and also it was my first experience working abroad.
Yeah, and it's where we met.
It's where we met.
And I knew Sam liked me because his contract finished 3 months before mine. And he was like, okay, I'm going to go home to Canada, visit my parents for the holidays, and then I'm going to come back and wait for you to finish your contract, and then we'll travel together.
Yeah, it was time. Well, we had met through our blogs, right?
Yeah.
And it was time to set off and see if we could turn this hobby into a little small business.
Yes.
And That's where it started.
Here we are,
South
9
Korea.
years later.
Online dating. We knew each other from a blog roll exchange.
Yes.
So yeah.
That's how we met.
That's how we met.
Well, after we finished our year of teaching in Korea, the first country we decided to travel to was, do you remember?
Yeah, it was Malaysia.
Yeah, and we went there because it was the cheapest flight we can find.
Yeah, we got an Air Asia flight. I think we paid maybe less than $200 for that flight.
Yeah.
And that was a long flight, I think like 6-hour flight. So
yes.
We landed in Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
I insisted that we didn't splurge on a $15 or $20 a night hotel.
Oh my God.
That's how cheap I was back then as a backpacker. And we set up our backpacks in the Kuala Lumpur low-cost terminal, and we ended up sleeping on the non-air conditioned airport on the ground.
I was not impressed with Sam being such a cheapo.
Oh, you should be. I mean, we save money. Come on.
Yeah. I actually want to film a video just doing a story time talking about our first month traveling together.
We have video footage of this. Like this was filmed. So you're gonna see you can see much younger versions of us.
Yeah, and hear the behind the scenes horrors. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I was not impressed. After Malaysia, we found a $2 flight to Cambodia.
One of the most turbulent flights we've ever been on in our whole lives.
My memory of that
It was shaking as we were taking off.
Yeah, like we were gaining speed down the runway, and like the plane was already going from side to side, and I was like,
"This is gonna be a long flight.
Good. Should we be taking off?"
And it was, but we got to go to Angkor Wat together.
Yes.
Siem Reap. We went to Battambang, and we also visited Sihanoukville and Phnom Penh.
Yes, we did.
So, and from there, we took the bus across to Vietnam, and we traveled all the way from the south to the north. So we started in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, and we finished in Hanoi, and we did all the way up. And
I remember loving the food. I was just loving every meal out.
Yeah, I remember the thing too was that we were traveling at such a fast pace up until that point that we got slightly fatigued from our backpacking, and we ended up taking a flight to Chiang Mai, Thailand, and that was our first base together.
Oh yeah, that was the first place we lived.
We lived. So scratch Thailand.
Were we there for like 3 months, or did we only stay for one?
We were there for a while, and you actually flew back to Canada to renew some documents.
Yeah, I also just missed my family. At that point, I had been away, like in Korea for a year, and then Southeast Asia probably like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Maybe longer.
And so from there, we ended up going to, I think we went to Hong Kong.
Let me confirm. No, next, we did not go to Hong Kong. We went to Finland.
Oh, yeah.
That was, was it our first? I think that was our
first project.
First blogger trip. We were invited to Finland for a week.
That was so exciting. That was my first time to Europe.
Yes.
Not yours.
We did not get paid. We did not make a penny. It was just a free trip, and we were thrilled. We're like, yes, we've made it.
We've made it in the blogging world, in the blogosphere.
They want us to travel.
They want us here.
Film. I also remember my best friend was living in Finland at the time. She was going to university there to study nursing. She's Finnish Canadian. So I got to see her, and that was super exciting, seeing a familiar face after like backpacking.
It was a great guide. I remember we had ice creams together. We walked around the markets. We took a ferry.
Really fun time in Finland. And while we were in Finland, we took the ferry over to Estonia.
Yeah.
Because it was just so close by.
So close, and as you guys could probably imagine, a lot of Scandinavia, like Finland, Sweden, Norway, is expensive, but heading over to Estonia, it was a totally different world. Like prices were, I think, at least half compared to.
Oh, compared to Finland, it was so much cheaper in Estonia.
So much cheaper to eat out, so much cheaper to get around. And we noticed a lot of Finns were coming back with booze from Estonia. Oh, it was so much cheaper to buy booze.
The ferry over to Estonia felt like a booze cruise. Yeah. There and back.
A lot of people came back with cases of, whatever. Mostly hard liquor, I believe. But,
First impressions of Estonia. That's what we've got to share.
Yeah.
Let's see, what happened next? Okay, yeah. So after doing that project in Finland and then crossing over to Estonia, we flew back to Thailand.
Yeah.
And from there, we went to Macau.
Macau. Yes. Oh, that was literally the worst flight we've ever been on, Audrey. The worst flight we've ever been on. So
It was.
I remember we flew through a storm, and it was the scariest flight of our lives. On this flight, the flight attendants sat down, got buckled in their seats.
Yes.
And there were some drops where everyone was screaming.
And there was like
everyone on the plane was screaming.
lightning outside of our window.
I thought that was it. I'm like,
Oh my
wow,
gosh.
it's been a good life. Fortunately,
We've had a lot of bad flights. Like, there's a reason why I don't like flying.
Yeah.
But anyways.
But would you say that was the worst of the worst?
One of the worst, yeah. There's been
For me, that was the worst.
From there, we went to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
We crossed by
Turbojet.
on the turbojet. Yeah, we did do the turbojet.
That's one of the easiest crossings you can do. Both are special administrative regions in China, meaning that they have their own immigration and currency. And they're so close to each other that you can just take a short little ferry. You arrive, you screen through, you get a little stamp in your passport, and you're there.
You're there.
You're
Boom.
there. Yeah.
Done.
It was,
Hong Kong.
We just loved it the first time
That
we were
was
there.
fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Seeing the symphony of lights, it was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is the future.
Super high-tech city.
Yeah.
Very crowded, very bustling, just stimulating. For me, one of the all-time coolest cities I've ever been to, for sure.
Oh, okay.
I don't
After
even know.
this? Oh, okay. No, first we crossed over to China.
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
We got our visas in Hong Kong.
Took the train.
And we kind of did like southeastern China, so I'm not gonna scratch all of China.
We went to Guilin and Yangshu in particular.
Should we be scratching the whole map?
Technically, yeah. You don't have to visit the whole country.
I don't remember how long we spent there. Maybe
A couple weeks, that's it.
going
Or
on
less.
3 weeks. I remember we had to leave early
There's all
because
festivals.
it was like the Moon Festival.
Oh, we had a project in Israel.
Yeah.
Remember that? We had to get back for a flight.
We did. Okay, so after China, we flew back to Hong Kong. Or no, we took the train back to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Because we had to catch a flight over to our second blog project we were ever offered
In Israel.
in Israel. It was
Yeah, our
a
first time visiting.
food-themed trip.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, like I don't think I've ever ate so much food in a short period of time.
Oh my
I
god.
remember some of the meals we had with the team we were with. We thought we were eating the main course, and it ended up only being the appetizer, and we were already stuffed. And we're like, yeah, it was great. We got to see historic parts of the country. We got to go to the Dead Sea.
Yes.
And we got to we were in Tel Aviv, we were in Jerusalem.
Yeah. And then from there, we flew to Turkey. Turkey. And we fell in love.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Remember our first day there?
We liked it so much. We're like, Istanbul was like the most impressive city we had ever seen at that point.
Yeah.
It was just the architecture, it was a busy city. It was diverse. It was divided. The continental divide.
Yeah.
The food was fantastic. It just it really clicked for us. We were having so much baklava, so much Turkish delight.
Oh my gosh.
Again, the waistline was really expanding at that point for me.
And then after we spent probably a couple of weeks in Turkey, we had our third blog project ever. We could not believe it.
Yeah.
3 in a year, but we were invited to Jordan.
Yeah. And it was a perfect strategic flight going from Turkey to there.
Yeah.
Very direct. And Jordan ended up being one of your favorite countries you've ever been to.
Loved
Me
it.
too.
Loved it so much. Especially Wadi Rum, being
Yeah.
out in the desert, camping out at night,
That was a real highlight.
seeing the
Camping
stars.
with the Bedouins, camel
Yes.
rides,
Music.
sweet tea,
Yeah.
music.
It was
Yeah.
so good.
Great food. Oh, that was one of the ultimate trips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loved it. I would say that's one of my top 5 countries.
Yeah.
Like, I just love Jordan
And then
so much.
didn't we fly back to Israel and meet your parents? Oh, we did visit your parents.
Yes.
We did go back to Israel from, it makes sense. It was so close,
Yeah,
right?
so we all met up together.
Yeah.
And we probably spent like 10 days? I think
Yeah.
maybe that trip was 10 days, just traveling the length of the country.
That was the first time we did a trip with your parents
Yeah.
together, all of us.
Yeah, it was really
tons of
cool.
fun.
So after that, we flew back to Turkey. Again, we spent a lot of time in Turkey that year.
We liked it so much.
There, we
We-
took a train.
To Bulgaria.
Yes.
And we had the funniest immigration experience of all time there.
Yeah.
The train just stopped in Bulgaria at this random little station where we were to do immigration. The immigration officer had slept in.
Yeah, he
So-
didn't show up.
He didn't show up, so people were trying to get in touch with him. And finally, he came down to the station like hours later. We got our stamps, hopped back on the train, and off we went again.
Off we went.
Yeah, we had a good time in Sofia. We weren't there for very long. And then we went back to Istanbul.
Back to Istanbul.
That's where I spontaneously surprised my mom with a flight out to visit us. So
Yes.
we were celebrating my birthday together. And she got on the plane, first time for her to travel by herself. And she was really brave. She arrived in Istanbul. We had a great time together.
Yeah.
So,
That trip was a very nice,
very memorable.
nice time
We still
together.
talk about that to this day when we meet up with my parents. So I
Yeah.
think that was one of my mom's favorite trips.
Okay, after that, we somehow ended up on my list it says we ended up in Scotland.
Did we?
Oh, that was the New Year's thing.
It sure
Had a
was.
really actually, I'm saying, had a really good time. No, I was sick. Like, I picked up
yeah.
a virus. I was puking for 2 days straight after
I
got
had
it.
I had a good time.
You had a
Yeah,
grand
we,
old
We
time.
were fortunate to not to have that cold of weather, relatively speaking.
Then we flew back to Southeast Asia because we were doing a big trip with your parents and their friends all together.
Oh,
So that
yeah.
started off in Thailand.
That's right.
And then the two of us took off to Laos.
Yeah, we took we did the river crossing.
Yes.
It
you went
was,
by the boat.
Very budget, very long. We were out in the sun, exposed in the sun the whole time. We probably would upgrade to a little bit of a more luxury fleet if we were doing that again.
But Laos itself,
Yeah, had a great time.
loved it.
Luang
Enjoyed it so
Prabang.
much.
Yeah.
Luang Prabang was my favorite.
Yeah,
Okay, so the next new country to add to the list at this point would be Indonesia.
yeah. We went to Bali.
did Bali.
Fun trip with family. We
And you know what? I'm just going to scratch all of Indonesia, or at least most of it, because we've done follow-up trips
yeah
and we've actually covered the country
we have.
pretty well. So let's just get this whole string of islands here. And on that joint family trip, we also crossed over to Singapore.
Yeah, we sure did. And then we came back to Malaysia, went to Penang, and then we ended up going back to Thailand to say goodbye to my parents. But yeah, one of the first big trip we did together with them.
After we finished that Southeast Asia trip, we flew back to Europe.
Yeah.
Remember what was the first country?
Was it Germany or the Czech Republic?
Germany. We flew
Germany.
into Germany. Not the best start because our hotel had like
Oh, yeah.
double booked us. So they're like, no, now you have to go to another place. And we ended up in the red light
Wasn't
district.
that in Frankfurt?
In Frankfurt, yeah. And they gave us a room with only one bed. It was like, what? And they wanted 60 euros for it. It was
Oh
like,
yeah, that's back in the
this.
days where we were on such a shoestring budget. We were kind of shocked by how expensive it was relative to what we got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that well.
And from there,
Was it Australia or the
we
Czech
went to
Republic?
Australia. This makes no sense. But
We had
yes,
a project.
while we were in Germany, we
Yeah.
were offered a project in Australia. Not the whole thing. Let's just do Queensland.
Okay.
That was our fourth project
Oh, we
with
got up to
like
Townsville.
our blogs and YouTube. So yeah, we were super excited. I remember at first I didn't want to go because at that point we'd had a few bad flights in a row. And getting to this project involved 4 flights.
4 flights, 3 of them massive. We went
Yeah.
from Frankfurt to Dubai, it was Abu Dhabi, and then
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi to Singapore, and
Yeah.
Singapore to Australia. Both all about 8 to 9 hours each at least.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we had a short flight from, where was it?
From Brisbane to
Oh, sorry,
Townsville.
Brisbane to Townsville. So it was like the most jet lag we've ever been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it ended up being a really fun trip, and
Oh,
the
gosh.
highlight would be the Whitsunday Islands.
Yeah.
That day we spent cruising.
And Magnetic Island too.
Oh, and Magnetic Island.
That was super
yeah, That was
quirky.
so cool.
Loved it.
Yeah.
And then we got to spend time by the Gold Coast, a little more
Yes.
posh to finish off. That just like made me fall in love with Australia. I have to go back and see more. Actually,
Has to go
I want to
back.
go see the whole country. One of my ultimate trips would be a camper van experience there.
Cool.
What do you think?
That would be a lot of fun.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I would do that.
Would do that?
All right, guys, so I want to take a little break from the map scratching because we've been at this for a while and we've still got a ways to go. So I wanted to use this break to tell you about this week's sponsor, which is squarespace.com. And they are an all-in-one platform to help you create your website, run your business, and build your online presence. And it seems pretty fitting for today's video since Sam and I were talking about how we met through our travel blogs and embarked on this adventure across who knows how many countries. So you never know where starting a website could lead. So what I like about Squarespace is that it is very easy to use and it also has a super intuitive interface. They also provide traffic overviews so that you can see your visits, unique visitors, and page views to see how your website is trending over time. You can also connect your social media profiles to your website, making it easier for you to share your content across your platforms. Plus, they also have commenting features that support threaded comments to help you build a community and stay connected. So if you want to check it out, you can go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And then once you're ready to launch your website, you can head over to squarespace.com/Samuel and Audrey to get 10% off the first purchase of your website or domain. And just as a reminder, we're going to have the link down here in the description. Now back to the video. Alrighty, from there, we flew back to Europe, and the new country we added to the list at that point was the Czech Republic, now known as Czechia.
Czechia. And
So-
yeah, we loved it in Prague. It was like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
I mean, crowded, lots of tourists, but just fascinating. Kind of one of my favorite cities to walk around in Europe on foot.
Yeah.
We spent so much time walking around on foot.
That kind of ended our Europe trip, and then we flew back to Canada. That was the year we got married.
2014.
But before we got married, Sam
Yeah.
was like, let's do one more trip and go to the States. So we did New York, Chicago. Oh, no, that was it.
Montreal, New York, and Chicago.
Yeah, I think we'll scratch all of the US just because we have traveled there a lot. Okay, so after we got married, we went on honeymoon to
Cuba.
Cuba.
Yeah, and we went with your parents. That was tons of fun.
Yes.
Just beach time and buffet and
Yeah.
drinks. Repeat.
It was.
Repeat for 7 days.
That was a great trip.
We that was the anti-travel trip. We didn't see any of the
No.
country. We just got whisked to our resort and we were living it up.
And then the following year, we had gone back to university to get our teaching degree, and we had the chance to do our teaching practicum overseas.
Yeah, in Peru.
So we chose Peru because I have family there, and we spent a whole month.
You're half Peruvian.
I'm half Peruvian,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
So we went to Peru, and we had the easiest teaching schedule ever. So we were actually traveling a lot on weekends, and sometimes even on weekdays, we'd go off on little adventures. So that was a really fun month. And then after Peru, once we came back to Canada, graduated, we ended up booking a trip to South Africa. Because we found incredibly cheap flights.
Yeah, 5 months in advance. It was one of those
Yeah.
mistake fares
Yes.
where they didn't mean to have that price,
No.
but the company, they honored it.
They did.
So we got to go to South Africa, and we arranged some sponsors for that trip, and it ended up being one of the coolest like month-long trips we've ever done.
loved it. Backpacking
Absolutely
from
loved it.
Johannesburg to Cape
Yeah.
Town,
Well,
overland.
Highlights, I mean, obviously the safari, Kruger
Yes.
National Park. I just love the coast as well, and then finishing off in Cape Town. Wow.
Then we spent quite a bit of time in Europe. New country was France.
France,
We went to
Luxembourg.
Paris.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, France.
Sam is listing countries that I completely forgot we visited. So there's
We
gonna
actually
be some
visited
extras.
Luxembourg before France.
Did
if you
we?
remember. Yeah. And then we were working with a hotel. We were staying in Paris for a week, and then we went to Madrid in Spain. So I get to do Spain then. You can talk
Yes.
about Spain.
So, well, in Paris, that's where we celebrated our first year anniversary.
Oh yeah, we
And
had Korean
then-
food.
Oh, yeah. And then we crossed over to Spain, probably by train.
Yep.
And that's
Yeah,
where
we
we
did.
celebrated my birthday.
right.
And
In
my
Toledo.
memory, Toledo, it
40
was
degrees.
40 plus degrees.
Yeah.
It felt like my brain was cooking inside my head.
That was one of the hottest days of travel we've ever had.
Yes, I would not recommend Spain during July.
No.
FYI.
Go in the spring or fall.
Then we went to Belgium. We ended up getting one of those like bus passes, hop on, hop off. So we did these places very quickly.
Belgium.
But it was Belgium followed by the Netherlands.
In Bruges specifically, then we went to Amsterdam for a few days. All very short.
Very short.
And then we ended up back in Berlin, I remember.
Back in Berlin. Then we were invited on another trip. We were invited to Poland, to Warsaw.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome.
And we enjoyed that like initial taste of Poland so much. We were there maybe for like 3-4 days.
Yeah.
That I think a few years later, we ended up coming to Poland and spending a whole month there just out of pocket.
Also remember, that's where I put my neck out and had a bit of a chronic neck injury for about half of a year. That was awful.
It was.
It was the worst injury I've ever had. It put me in bed some days for the whole day.
Yeah, I remember his neck was so bad in Poland that then then we flew to Romania for medical tourism purposes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You remember that?
But we never really talked about that or really documented that on YouTube.
I think we only made a video like trying some food in Bucharest, and then we also went to Brasov.
Yeah.
I made a short video.
But really, most of the time there, he was getting MRIs and X-rays and then acupuncture.
So they were able to see that I had a bit of a slip disc, and the treatments that I was receiving really helped.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have a flare-up a little bit later, but it was kind of the road to recovery at that point.
Somehow we ended up in Italy.
That was for Blogville.
Blogville.
Remember that? Started in Milan, went nearby Lake Como.
We ate very well in Italy.
Oh my gosh, how could you not?
I feel like this is where our love affair with Italy began, because I think we've been back maybe like 5 or 6 times just to different parts of the country.
Yeah, Italy, one of our favorite countries for sure.
Yes. Okay, then we did spend some time in England that summer.
Yeah, I remember that's where you did the road trip. We went to Ireland too. Remember that was...
We went to Ireland, yes.
That was where you did your sister's road trip with your friend Alyssa.
Yeah, and Raquel. Yeah, 5 girls driving around Ireland.
And I did a little project with the tourism board. I was promoting football and sports at the time. It was really cool.
Somehow, we ended up in Greece. I remember it was your birthday around this time, and then we had like our own little vacation in Athens.
Yeah.
And you got baklava for your birthday. That was nice.
That was awesome. Yeah, instead of birthday cake, they give baklava.
Yes.
Which I'll take baklava over birthday cake.
And then we went to Portugal, which was the last stop of that Euro trip. There have been a lot of Euro trips.
Yeah.
That was the last stop of this one.
That's right.
We're making pretty good progress with this map. I'm going to film it for you.
We are.
Then, stop it.
We're live.
Sam's being annoying. Okay. Then we did another major trip, this time through South America. We invited your parents. Started in Peru, which we've already scratched off. And from there, we went to...
Bolivia. Yep.
Highlights from Bolivia?
Lake Titicaca and also La Paz. We weren't there for long. Then we crossed over the border to Chile. Went to the Atacama Desert, which we love. Very scenic, very dry. Then we went to the beloved Argentina for the first time.
That was the first time we took Sam's parents to Argentina.
Crossed over into Salta, visited the Cordoba area where your parents lived and where you lived for a while, and then finished off in Buenos Aires together.
We sure did. And we ate a lot on that trip.
Yeah, we sure did.
Yes.
And then they were done, and then we ended up going to Brazil.
Yes.
Yeah.
I took Sam to Rio de Janeiro and introduced him to my family.
Yeah. You have family there.
I do have family there. Yeah.
So I'll just scratch this for now.
So after that, we ended up in Kyrgyzstan. I'm trying to remember how we got there.
Oh, wow. That was the first time going there. That's amazing. Right over here.
There we go.
West of China.
So we were invited to attend the World Nomad Games, which was super exciting.
Those were amazing. We did lots of yurt stays. We did horseback riding. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Ultimate adventure country. One of my favorites too. And I would go back there. in a heartbeat.
And then we went to Taiwan, where it was just food, night markets non-stop.
I mean, we ate mostly street food the whole time, going to the various markets. Yeah, we loved it. We also we got out of Taipei and did some nature escapes too, which was cool. Again, a country I'd like to see more of.
And then, okay, we did a big loop through Southeast Asia at this point, but we've already scratched a lot of the countries we went to. So then the next new country we flew to was Nepal.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Totally remember. We just had a bit of time to kill before we were going to meet up with our parents in India. So in Nepal, we just went to Kathmandu and Pokhara. We weren't there long, so we didn't do the classic hikes that people do, the Annapurna circuit. I'd love to go back and do that.
Yeah, there was lots of chilling.
Lots of chilling.
We took a boat out on the lake, we did mini hikes, we ate, we shopped. It was that kind of trip.
Yeah, and then we had the ultimate train adventure trip with my parents.
Yes.
Where we toured Rajasthan thoroughly. We also went to spend time in Delhi. We went to Agra, Varanasi, Kolkata, and we did it all by train.
Yeah, we basically did it by train west to east.
Yeah.
With your parents, and they did well.
They did so well.
Time.
Yeah, they did so well, and that was the most adventurous trip we did together for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that year or later that year. We ended up in Hungary for the first time ever.
Yep, I remember that. Love Budapest. I
yeah.
mean, amazing place. Highlights in Hungary, I mean, just for me it was like the architecture. I
like
loved
the
it.
baths, going to the thermal
Oh, the
baths.
baths, of course, the baths.
Yes,
That's
that
the
was
highlight.
Fun.
The baths were the highlight.
Yeah.
Eating hearty goulash too.
Goulash every day.
Goulash
I
central.
did not tire of goulash.
And then we went to Slovakia, didn't we?
Slovakia, I think, I've already kind of accidentally scratched it off. So in Slovakia, we just visited Bratislava. We were there for a week. We also did a day trip to Devon Castle.
Yeah.
I just remember the old town was very walkable, you know,
Yeah.
like very compact, lots of cool sculptures around. So yeah, it was fun.
It was fun.
good.
Very underrated city.
Yeah.
And so close to Vienna, where we also spent time. We were in Austria for the first time remember the project? STS,
yeah.
Social Travel Summit. We were there and we were going to, what was it? Tyrol.
I was very excited to be going to Austria because that's where my paternal grandfather is from. So we started out in Tyrol, in the mountains, in the Alps.
It's as scenic as you'd imagine.
Oh my gosh, like that's my
Sound
idea
of music,
of heaven.
right?
Those landscapes were just insane.
Yeah.
And we had a really fun trip there for the Almabtrieb, which is when they bring the cows back from their pastures at the end of summer. So there was a cow parade. The cows were wearing bells and flowers.
That was the coolest.
That was a great festival. And then after that, we went to Vienna, where we stayed for a week, did some filming, met up with another friend there.
Yeah.
Actually, several friends. I remember there was like a crazy night out with a whole bunch of people.
A whole bunch of other bloggers and YouTubers. And from there, we started our Balkan adventure. We went to Slovenia. Ljubljana.
Yes.
Ljubljana. What I remembered there was just like, wow, this is a city that I don't think a lot of people know about. Super charming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
Very nice. And we went to Lake Bled. And then from there, we crossed to Croatia.
Croatia.
And we spent significant time in Croatia.
Memories from Croatia.
Gosh, the food, the truffles.
The risotto. The
risotto.
mushroom risotto.
Maybe
truffles.
the pizza that almost rivaled Italian pizza.
Jupiter Pizza.
Yeah, the combination of cities and coastal adventures. Again, guys, that is one of the ultimate places to chill. Such a chill vibe. And we visited slightly off season. It was in the fall, so we didn't get the massive summer crowds, which was amazing.
Then it was Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Yeah, Mostar.
We
Oh,
loved
we
Mostar.
made some awesome cat friends. Montenegro.
Montenegro. We did go to Montenegro. Already scratched that one off there.
Remember Sausage Cat?
I remember Sausage Cat. We met a dwarf cat and we didn't realize it was a dwarf cat. I just thought it was like a funny cat. But he had like short little legs like this.
It was a little bit shy and it warmed up to us.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the coolest cats
Sausage cat.
of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember
we
that?
flew home. That
home.
was the end of another Euro trip.
Then we did another Euro trip with my parents a few months later.
Oh my gosh, yes we did.
And we're not going to be scratching off any new countries because we were just showing them places we had already been to.
This is getting long, guys.
So, yeah.
The next new country we ended up visiting at that point was Antigua and Barbuda.
Yeah.
Next year. Can we find that?
Awesome confidence. It's right in there.
It's so tiny. Guadeloupe, Martinique, Barbados. And after that, let's see my little list.
Japón.
Japan. The big trip across Japan. Memories from Japan?
Everything.
Terrifying.
I mean, we saw the big cities. We spent significant time in Osaka, Tokyo, and Kyoto. But my favorite part were the more rural areas. Nikko was up there.
Nikko was good. Takayama was nice. Going to Shirakawa-go and seeing the praying hand straw houses.
So again, a country that I absolutely must revisit at some point. And with you, obviously. And I would like to focus on rural areas next time.
Yeah, like my advice to anyone traveling to Japan would actually be to maybe skip the Golden Triangle, you know?
Or if you don't skip it, just spend a bit of time there.
Yeah, spend less time there.
Allocate less than half your time there for sure.
Yeah.
I would put 2/3 of your time in the rural part of Japan and maybe 1/3 in the cities. That would be my advice.
Yeah, that's where Japan really shines when you get out into nature. The only new country we've added since then is Uruguay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Together. Yeah. We've done 2 big trips back to Argentina and we went to Uruguay with your dad. We had a ton of fun, especially going and eating lots of meat, like asado.
Lots of steak was consumed. Yes.
Tons of steak. And then pandemic time.
Oh, pandemic time. Yes. We have been at home for the last year and a half.
Yeah, so that's our entire travels together in terms of going to countries for the first time. We haven't explained the repeats, but wow, it's like reliving these memories. And it's funny, one thing would trigger something else. It'd be like, oh yeah, then we went there. And it's crazy trying to piece it together after it's been so many years. But it's been amazing. I think the thing that for me that really stands out is just like how much of a privilege it is to travel. And not really being able to for the past year and a half has just made me like appreciate how much we were able to do pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And how exciting it'll be to be able to travel post-pandemic. Yes. And I think I'm just always going to be more appreciative of the opportunity to travel because now it really feels like a privilege. More so than even before. I already felt that it was a privilege, but when you have it kind of taken away from you for that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're ready to hit the road. We're very thankful for our health and it looks like things will be opening up soon.
Yep.
We've got plans.
In Canada. We do. We can't wait to announce those.
Outside of Canada too.
Yeah, probably in the fall. But yeah, thanks for listening to us ramble this long. It was reliving our history.
A longer video than we expected, but we hope you enjoyed it. I had fun doing the scratch map. Now I need to finish it, tidy it up. So thanks again for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Yeah.
Thank you to those of you who have been watching since the beginning. I'm sure talking about some of these countries brings back memories. We've got all the cringy videos up there on YouTube.
We've got the cringe back catalog to prove it. We sure do.
So yeah, that's it for today's video, and we will be seeing you again soon.
Ciao, guys.
Ta-ta.